So, just like I promised, I have got my top secret journal here with all of its negative things. And I want the recycling bin since this is paper and cardboard. Here we go. Okay, I'm as in focus as I'm gonna get. Hi, I'm Shani Nadu, and I'm going to talk to you about my journey with morning pages thus far and why I'm deciding to throw mine out. In case you're wondering, what are morning pages? So, I don't know, I think it was sometime in the 70s, but a writer named Julia Cameron, that's her, she wrote a book called The Artist Way. So I bought this book this summer, and The Artist Way is, in the biggest way, she wrote it for creatives who have writer's block. However, she discovered that it worked for painters. It worked for writers in different genres, not just like novel writing. She discovered that it worked for doctors and lawyers and stay-at-home moms and all kinds of stuff. And essentially, it works by you getting out your thoughts at the top of the day to kind of clear your mind. And when I started doing that this summer, I ended up really pulling myself out of one of the deepest depressions that I've ever experienced. I was not eating regularly, not showering regularly, just finding it very difficult to get ready, to get dressed, to do anything. Like everything was difficult, and I was just so sad and just so weighed down. And when I started writing, I got my handy dandy notebook. This is the one that I finished. It says top secret on it, and that's top secret if you know who Harriet the Spy is. If you know, you know. And so I write that on all my journals. And essentially when you do morning pages, basically you just write 3 pages free flow, first thing in the morning. This one's a slightly larger composition book, so it should have taken me 60 days, but I did take a break from it. This book that, suggests the morning pages, it is an entire course. I have not started the course. All I read about was doing the morning page part, and I just jumped in on it. Like I just had a feeling that it was going to save me from myself, save me from the depression and stuff that I was going through, and like the negative thinking and the spiraling and the pessimism and all that stuff. I needed a way out. And so every morning I just started thinking. Instead of thinking and drowning in my thoughts, I started writing out my thoughts. No matter how terrible they sounded, no matter how much I wanted to die or kill everybody, or life is pointless, or this went wrong and that went wrong and this is why life sucks. All of those bad things that were weighing me down in my mind are written on paper. They're not in my mind anymore. I am a different person. Let's say it's been about 90 days, and I am a different person 90 days later. All my life, I've kept journals. All my life, I would say probably since middle school, it was a thing where we had to kind of like use the vocabulary words that we were learning and use it in a sentence and start journaling in the beginning of class, just kind of getting you using your vocabulary. And so that's kind of where that started for me. And I've always done it. And then I kind of fell off as an adult and kind of like wrote sporadically. And when it comes to creativity, I was also creative sporadically because of that. I was putting work ahead of all of that. And I realized, as far as like some top points that I learned about myself from writing this, the first thing, like I said, I pulled myself out of the depression. Once I stopped with the negative thoughts walking around in my mind and I allowed them to be carried by paper instead of carrying it within myself, it really released me. And when I did that, I started to realize that I had so many things to be grateful for. I had so many, I realized, other than the depression really coming off of me, I realized that I had so many things to be grateful for. I had so many more dreams inside of myself, so many more stories to tell, and, including people to help. I was just stuck in my own world. I was stuck in myself instead of coming out of myself. And so 90 days later, I lost some weight, not a lot, but I lost some weight. I lost about 10 pounds. But I've made a decision now at this point to go on a health journey in a different direction. Like, not as a like, okay, let's lose weight because you're fat and this, that, and the other, but I'm really seeing the habits. I'm really, looking at some generational things and really understanding where my actions are coming from and why I'm doing them. Even though I'm self-examining, why am I still not doing it? So that's another video for another time, but that's something that I kind of pulled out doing the morning pages. You have 3 pages, and at first, when you are full of all of these negative emotions, it's good to let all the negative emotions out, but then what? You know what I mean? Like, after I was no longer feeling that heaviness and that weight on myself, okay, well, what's next? What next do we need to fix inside my life? And so those are, as you're writing, you end up examining yourself from different angles because it's 3 pages. I am going to experiment, and the next one that I do, I'm going to actually try and do 2 pages. But the other thing that I did with the first book is I woke up in the morning and this was the first thing that I did. And if I couldn't write first thing in the morning, then I didn't write at all. I didn't like that. And I noticed that if I tried to write during the day and at some other time, like where I had quiet time, I couldn't focus my mind. It could just be me. Insert the ADHD emoji. But it could just be me not being able to focus during the middle of the day. However, I found that sometime after I got a lot of things out, I did not write anything that would be work oriented. And what I mean by that is like creative work. So in case you don't know, I am a writer. I do some writing. I'm a writer and I do writing things. And I didn't want to put anything like that in the book. I just wanted the thoughts to be off of my mind. And so this is my brand new one. I got a whole bunch of them at Target on sale for 25 cents or whatever they were. And I am going to see how I do doing 2 pages instead of 3 in this morning page. I can't guarantee that I have time for the course yet, but if I do, you'll see content about it. Anyway, I want to know, do any of you have a journal practice? Do any of you do actual morning pages, like it's the first thing you do in the morning? Or is it something that you do after your walk, like I do now? I want to know, how do you typically do it? Because I've always kept my journals because I always mix my writing. And this time, not only is there a lot of negativity in here, we're also falling on a new moon. It's a great time to toss this out and not allow the negative thoughts to come with me, not look back on them, anything like that. So that's my plan. I'm going to toss it out. And with that, I'm going to release all the things that I've written in it and put them to rest. But anyway, thanks for watching. So one more thing that I wanted to mention, and that is I wanted to talk about one of my favorite scriptures. And it comes from 2 Chronicles, and it says essentially at the end of the verse that the battle is not yours, it belongs to God. And I'm mentioning this because I'm going to add some Christian Science on there because I have to explain myself. So when you allow negative thoughts, your mind is the battlefield. That was written by Joyce Meyer like forever ago. Your mind is the battlefield. The enemy is the negative thoughts. You have to see God as love, and God is that higher vibration, that higher frequency, and those negative thoughts are constantly pulling yourself down. If I even so much as carry that around with me, I'm allowing and attaching myself to a lower frequency. So I tossed it in the recycle bin. I was going to put it in the trash, but I put it in the recycle bin because energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed. And so I'm converting that negative energy that some tree gave its life involuntarily. Some tree gave its life and it's going to be recycled and hopefully give out good energy. But I wanted to put that out there because Sometimes it's part of our culture to let out negative things and rehearse negative things and repeat negative things as if it's the norm. And it doesn't serve us, it doesn't do us any good. It's not for our highest good. If I say that I want to walk in the frequency of love and a frequency of, peace and joy and all the good fruits of the spirit, how can I carry around negative emotion? How can I keep old things? How can I know that these bad things happen and this caused that and that caused that and continue to carry it around with me? Doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. Me throwing it away is recognizing that that battle is no longer mine and it has been submitted above my head. It's in God's hands now. Have a good one.